had a secret ballot on a new speaker. Now they are moving expeditiously. Jim Jordan and Steve Scalise, the main contenders, as Kevin McCarthy has asked not to be renominated. Republican Congressman Dan Crenshaw of Texas was just there. He's a member of the House Select Committee on Intelligence and House Energy Committee as well. Congressman, I do want to, first of all, tap in on what's happening militarily because you have that in your acumen and experience. We are watching Israel hit back, and we're seeing a lot of smoke in the skies. Just want to get your take on where we are 5 days in.
Well, I think you're seeing a huge wake-up call from Israel. If we're being honest, there was some complacency here. There was some failures to see this coming. And this time is different. We've seen a lot of these conflicts boil over in the last couple decades. This time is different. I find it very hard to believe that the Israelis will simply do their strategic and surgical incursions and then pull back out and call it a day. I think this war will be going on for a much longer time. I think they will not stop until they have completely decimated Hamas. And I don't blame them. I think we should support them in that mission. I don't think they have a choice. I think that's what you're seeing right now.
Congressman Crenshaw, I want to talk about the pressure, the intensity happening now on Capitol Hill for you to choose a House Speaker. Really, you've kind of come to a halt for anything you can do legislatively, although you can still hold hearings and whatnot. Tell me about that intensity on the Hill right now.
Well, we're in the middle of the process in the Republican conference in a closed-door session. We're going to elect the speaker, our nomination for speaker, of course, and then we'll present that to the floor. As soon as I'm done talking to you, I'll head back into the room where we're doing it, and pretty soon here we'll have that vote. I think we're in good hands with either Jim Jordan or Steve Scalise. I'm optimistic about how we operate from here. I'm optimistic about our future, and more importantly, beating the left's agenda and holding the Biden administration accountable. We've got to pull this together and be unified and just do what's necessary and what we promised to do for the American people. What has happened in the last few weeks was exactly not what was promised. There was a lot of people airing personal grievances and pretending like they were representing their people. That has to stop. You're not elected to come up here and use your power to air personal grievances, but that is what happened. So those kind of discussions are happening, and they're very frank, but they're cordial. And in the end, we're going to come out on top, I think.
And what is the goal with regard to, and we're seeing a lot, I don't know if you can see this, but this is a lot of black smoke again in the center of Gaza City now, and this is pretty fast coming now. There is a staccato to this. What is the plan with regard, the vision with regard to Israel and what's happening there in the House?
From our perspective in the House, we're waiting to see what Israel needs. It's not obvious. So there's been talks of a supplemental. Let's say, okay, well, do they need $1 billion, and for what exactly? Now, my intuition is that they're eventually, just like any military operation, you're going to start to run out of bullets. Now, by bullets, I mean higher end bullets like artillery and air to ground missiles, things like that, precision weaponry. They'll start to run out of that, and at that point, the U.S. will step in and provide that. Does there need to be a giant package from Congress? That's actually unclear as of this moment. There will be a requirement for much more interest from America if this war expands. If Hezbollah decides that it wants to do a full-on invasion from the north, from Lebanon, if Iran or Syria get involved, then you've got some much more serious questions to answer about how we support Israel.
You know, it's interesting. I read a letter, and I've got it here somewhere in my many pages, from members of the House, and they wanted to make sure that, Iran doesn't get left out of all of this. And you probably couldn't hear because you were in your meeting, your high-level meeting. General Jack Keane was saying, let's call this what it is, and let's include Iran in the conversation when you talk about what's happening before us and what could happen in the future. What's your take on it?
It depends on what he means by that. You should absolutely include
that they have their fingerprints all over this. And if it's not command and control, it's through the training that they've given Hamas and other terrorists.
Oh, that's 100% true. Hamas is Iran's second favorite child. Their first favorite child is Hezbollah. Their second favorite child is Hamas. Hamas is an extremely capable group. They build extremely capable weaponry. They have very capable counterintelligence operations. They obviously planned all this without anyone knowing. Imagine if they put all that effort into just building an electrical grid, by the way. I mean, God forbid. So
true.
Iran created all of that. Now, whether they had a hand in this, there's no evidence of that, a direct operational hand in this. But absolutely, they created the capability. And they're cheering on the fact that that capability morphed into what it is today. So absolutely, they should be part of the conversation.
I want to ask you about what's being told to us could look like other wars we fought, hand-to-hand urban combat. Can you talk to me about how that could play out? I mean, Gaza is so tight. You know, it's the tightest population in the world. It's not a big piece of land, 140 square miles. So how do you fight there? What will that look like?
It looks like hell. You know, we have a lot of experience in that kind of fighting. The Iraq War was largely this kind of fighting. The American military has a lot of experience in this. This may be something that the American military needs to help the Israeli military with. You know, they're a highly capable institution, but they're tiny. They're small. You know, they punch above their weight, but their weight class is very small. These are the kind of things that we have to be considering. Urban warfare is extremely difficult. It requires the very well thought out tactics that require a lot of training, that require a lot of practice. It's dangerous. You look at the Israeli military; it's very young, and we are worried that they haven't been able to train to the standards that might be needed for this kind of ground operation. It'll be hell, but it's also. I think they're asking themselves, what choice do they have? What choice do they have? They cannot leave this situation be any longer.
Yeah. We are looking at a situation now where we see a lot of darkness. Of course, it's later there, but usually not quite this dark. That's a lot of black smoke. We saw the sky brighten and then now just solid blackness. And what you said about Hamas, I mean, they clearly are incompetent in terms of a fake government. But if they would put all of their might into running water and electricity and the other things, they could actually help the people, the Palestinians there. But that's not their focus. They're killers.
Not at all. You know what's even harder for Westerners to understand about this situation? One of the reasons that I would suggest that Hamas did this is because it gains them political support. So that's crazy, right? So that means the Palestinian people actually support this. You know, you hear these crazy comments from the Squad about, you know, Palestinian people being caught in the crossfire. They support Hamas. They overwhelmingly support Hamas's actions. Hamas does this in order to gain more support from the people. And so it puts you at a loss. How do you get out of this situation where the people themselves want a government, a terrorist government that actively creates weapons and not electrical grids or water treatment plants? Wow. That's the kind of situation you're in. So Israel has no choice here.
I appreciate your time. I know you've got to get back to that meeting, the House conference voting. You said that you could have a situation where you could go to a full House vote. We'll be watching every second. Congressman Crenshaw, thank you.
What's up, so? Thanks for having me.
A lot of backlash to anti-Israel.